parasitic organisms. Here, these four are in animal kingdom, while this is plant kingdom. How do organisms obtain nutrition? Since the food and the way it is obtained differs, the digestive system is different in various organisms. Single cell organism food may be taken up by the entire surface. So a single cell organism, let's take for example amoeba and paramecium. They consume their whole food in their body, and then they absorb their nutrients. While in us, the complexity of the organism increases, different parts become specialized to perform different functions. So amoeba and paramecium doesn't have any organ, just like stomach, just like we do have. We have a complex body design, so we have stomach and other body parts or other digestive system. But the amoeba and paramecium has the whole body acting like a stomach. It just consumes its food, absorbs everything, and then just lets the waste product out of its body. For example, amoeba takes in food using temporary finger-like extension of the cell surface, which fuse over the food particle, forming a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler substance, which then diffuse into cytoplasm. So the food that they have taken is broken down into simpler substance, and that is diffused in their cytoplasm. The remaining undigested food is moved onto the surface of the cell and thrown out. In paramecium, which is also a unicellular organism, the cell has a definite shape and food is taken in at a specific spot. Food is moved to this spot by a movement of cilia. Cilia are leg-like structures which cover the entire surface of the cell. Here, you can see amoeba or a bacterium, and that's a bacterium, and this is amoeba. And this amoeba encaptures it in pseudopods. These pseudopods then closes itself down, and it becomes a food vacuole where it absorbs everything, digests that food material, and then after that, post digestion, you can see it throws out all the waste material just by opening that pseudopods. So this is how an amoeba behaves. This is an example of paramecium. Here you can see a thread-like structures all around its body. This is called cilia, and then that cilia absorbs the food and send it to food vacuole here, where it absorbs the food material and after that it throws out. The cilia performs everything in paramecium. These are both unicellular organisms. So this is what happens in amoeba and paramecium. First they ingest, that takes in food, then digest. There is two type of digestion: mechanical, that is breaking of food into smaller pieces; chemical digestion, breaking down food of molecules into small enough to absorb into cells, which are acted upon by enzyme. It then absorbs the nutrients across the cell membrane. It is done through diffusion and active transportation, and then they eliminate it out. Now let's see about nutrition in human being. See, the first thing that you go through nutrition in human being is the alimentary canal. What is an alimentary canal? That is the beginning of digestion till the end of the digestion. The whole organ system are called alimentary canal system. So a long tube extending from mouth to the anus. We eat various type of food which has to pass through the same digestive tract. Naturally, the food has to be processed to generate particles which are small and of small same texture. This is achieved by crushing the food with our teeth. So the teeth does two things. It makes the food particles small enough to be swallowed by us. And the second thing, it also mixes saliva in it while crushing. Since the lining of the canal is soft, the food is also wetted to make its passage smooth. When we eat something, we like our mouth waters. This is actually not only water but a fluid called saliva excreted by the salivary gland. So the digestion itself starts from the mouth, children, and here first thing, the bigger particles are made into smaller particles mechanically through teeth, And again, the enzymes are added to it. In mouth, enzyme amylase is added, which dissolves or absorbs starch from the food. Another aspect of the food we ingest is its complex nature. The food that we are eating is of complex nature. It is not simple that a body can absorb easily. If it is to be absorbed from the alimentary canal, it has to be broken into smaller molecules. This is done with the help of biological catalysts called enzymes. So here we are having biological catalyst, that means biological chemicals which act upon the food to make it more simpler to be absorbed by the body. Saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down starch, which is a complex molecule to give simple sugar. The food is mixed thoroughly with saliva and moved around the mouth while chewing by the muscular tongue. It is necessary to move the food in a regulated manner along the digestive tube so that it can be processed properly in each part. Now, one question I need to ask to all the children: where does the food enter after mouth? So, after chewing the food, where does the food go? Most of you may answer that, sir, it goes in the stomach. Sorry, children, it goes into esophagus. Esophagus is the food pipe that the food enters from the mouth. These peristaltic movements occur all along the gut. The food is being pushed till the stomach. It is not simply thrown into stomach, it is being pushed into stomach by peristaltic movement. From the mouth, the food is taken to the stomach through the food pipe or esophagus. The stomach, underline this also. This will be helpful for you in objective question answers. The stomach is a large organ which expands when food enter it. The muscular wall of the stomach help in mixing the food thoroughly with more digestive juice. The digestion in stomach is taken care of by the gastric gland present in the wall of stomach. These release hydrochloric acid. Now, hydrochloric acid is added in the stomach for two reasons. The first thing, for protein digestion, pancreatic juices, or we can say pepsin, is needed. This pepsin becomes active only after the acidic medium of the stomach. If there is no acidic medium in the stomach, the pepsin won't activate and that won't digest protein. Secondly, all the things that we eat are not completely made for our body. Sometimes we eat unhealthy food also which contains pathogenic bacteria. That bacteria is being killed by hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid has two functions. The digestion in the stomach is taken care of by the gastric gland present in the wall of the stomach. This release hydrochloric acid, a protein digesting enzyme called pepsin, and mucus. Here, the acid that our stomach produces is of the pH scale 1 to 3. 1 to 3. And it is highly acidic, which can even burn your skin, the most acidic part. And why doesn't the stomach skin burns or the layer of the stomach burns? Because it has mucus. This mucus protects the stomach from hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of enzyme pepsin. This is the first utilization of hydrochloric acid, that it activates the action of enzyme pepsin. What other function do you think? The other function, what is the other function, children? It is the killing of pathogenic microorganisms. The mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of the acid under normal conditions. We have often heard adults complaining about acidity. So they complain about acidity because there is excess amount of acid present in their stomach and there is lack of food in their stomach. The exit of food from the stomach is regulated by sphincter muscle which releases it in a small amount into small intestine. From the stomach, the food now enters the small intestine. This is the longest part of alimentary canal which is fitted into a compact space between the extensive filling. Okay, now this is also an interesting part where you can see, though it is the longest part in our human body, it is not the same in all the animals. The length of the small intestine differs in various animals depending on the food they eat. Herbivores eating grass need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. Meat is easier to digest and carnivores like tigers have a shorter small intestine. So herbivores need to digest the cellulose for a long time. It cannot be digested easily. So they have a longer small intestine. While the carnivore have a shorter small intestine because meat is easier to digest. Here also the important part is even the small intestine is the site of the complete digestion of carbohydrate, protein and fat. So everything what is left over in the food mostly is digested in small intestine. It receives the secretion of the liver and pancreas from pancreas for this purpose. So in small intestine there are three more enzymes that are being secreted for complete digestion, and that enzymes are being provided by liver and pancreas. The food coming from stomach is acidic and has to be made alkaline for pancreatic enzyme to act. Now, stomach contains mucus, which protects its layer from hydrochloric acid, but small intestine doesn't contain like that. So, what does it do? The food has to be turned into alkaline form. Bile juice from the liver accomplishes this in addition to acting on fat. So who does the alkalization of food? Bile juice. And bile juice is secreted from liver. That liver secretes bile juice which converts the acidic food into alkaline food. Fats are present in the intestine in the form of large globules. Now the fats that is present in our food is of large globules, which more big lumps, which is difficult for enzyme to act on them. So they are broken down, and after their breakage only the enzymes act on it. Bile salt breaks them down into smaller globules, increasing the efficiency of enzyme action. This is similar to emulsifying action of soap on dirt that we have learned about. The pancreas secrete pancreatic juice which contain enzyme like trypsin. You have to go through this also. Pancreatic juice contains trypsin for digesting protein and lipase for breaking down emulsified fats. So the fat with oil and everything is been broken down by lipase. The wall of small intestine contain gland which secrete intestinal juice. The enzyme present in it finally converts the protein to amino acid, complex carbohydrate into glucose, and fat into fatty acid and cholesterol. Digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. The inner lining of small intestine has numerous finger-like projection called villi, which increase the surface area of absorption. So villi provides the place for more absorption of nutrient from the food. The villi are richly supplied with blood vessel which take the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body where it is utilized for obtaining energy, building up new tissue and repair of old tissue. So this food, the nutrient that is absorbed by the blood, that is absorbed in the blood transport the nutrient to all the parts of the body where it is utilized as energy for repairing, growth, and so on. The unabsorbed food is sent to the large intestine where its wall absorb more water from the material. The rest of the material is removed from the body via anus. Exit of this waste material is regulated by anal sphincter.